And hello to you all. And at last I finally have a lock-up garage of which to put my precious car. Now I have to keep my voice down because it's Sunday morning currently and there are just a couple of houses with retirement flats nearby, so I don't want to wake the old people up. Noises are a conscious thing when I've owned a garage in the past, so I have to kind of be respectful. But it is a nice, relatively dry garage that's had a new roof. It's had all new timber and all new roof put in with new insulation on the top, and the landlord has given me the go-ahead of fitting whatever the hell I want, because it's my garage and it's my space, so I'm quite pleased. And the garage owner knows that I have a car of precious that's precious to me anyway, and he has tenants that have classic cars in their garages. So in a small block of garages where you actually wouldn't know there were garages here, literally on my doorstep, about 5 minutes away from my house, what is there not to like? I was absolutely chuffed when this came up online. I was the first one to actually contact the guy within about an hour of the ad coming up, because I had been looking and just somehow the reality was the only two garages that I was in contact with the landlords with were garages half an hour away, which is not too bad. It could be worse, but you want something kind of closer, and now I've got it within walking distance, so I can keep an eye on the car and maybe do a couple of live streams up here. You never know. I will be working on the car quietly occasionally in this garage, but the majority of the work will happen at the house. In terms of storage, I will just show you kind of what I'm bringing in and what I've been doing in the last week or so. I will point out now that this is a standard garage, but it is enough to put some tool racks at the back and to put a Ford Focus in. My Rover 45, I don't think will quite fit. I haven't tested it at the moment, but I no doubt will try. But I suspect the lengthways, it's not brilliant where I am. There was some leaking from the gutter, which I've had to attend to, because apparently that was leaking in. This is the residual of that water. The landlord did say occasionally you get the water around the doors, which is common. I've had that in brand new garages where the water sort of leaks around where the door hinges go. But as far as the garage door is concerned, it's an up and over garage door. Now, I have been moving some of my stuff in. Not a great deal of stuff, but just overall storage stuff that I just haven't got room for. I will not be putting any tools in this garage because of how close it is to my flat. I don't need to. I can literally bungle the tools in the back of my Rover, which is now working. It is MOT'd and it is already working its ass off, because that's what I intended it for, and it's running okay. There was a situation yesterday. I've ran it in the last couple of days just to bed it in. I think we're getting some crap fuel in the tank because it was stuttering yesterday and actually started misfiring and actually throwing up a code. Now I will look at the coil packs a little bit more in detail as we go along. The coil packs, the HT leads, I think I wanted to replace anyway, but someone's told me that I can reduce the spark plug gap from 1mm to about 0.8, 0.75. Apparently on the K series they run absolutely fine, no loss of performance. The only issue with reducing the gap is that the emissions may go up. I think increasing the gap is a bigger bang, better obviously, less emissions going on, but I may look into that because it's possible the coil pack maybe not quite right. I will do a test on that at some point, but apart from that, it's been running fine. It was a very intermittent issue and the warning light has actually deleted itself, which is quite interesting. But in terms of what I've got down here, it's just spare stuff. And as some of you may have seen from my NEC video, oh yes, we have got to have this in the garage. I've just been drilling it on the wall. Just it's a piece of aluminium. I mean, you can get wooden ones and all sorts. I've seen a few people with one of these, but yeah, I've just drilled it on, and because it's light, I've got no conscience it being on the wall there. I will probably put a few more things on the wall, but what I have been doing, and the landlord made it very clear I can go full ape on this, is lighting. Now I have wired in some standard bayonet light fittings with I think a 0.7mm core lighting cable. because the amperage is very low. I'm only going to, obviously these wires are only here for these lights, and these LED bulbs about 6 to 8 watts. So we've got something fairly going through there. I mean, I was thinking about fitting a fluorescent strip, but the truth is I've had these bulbs and these light fittings for a long time, so I thought I would wire it in. I am quite decent at electrics. I've done a lot of rewiring, trust me. Rewiring your parents' house is a challenge and a half, but I did it. But yeah, I've managed to fit that up there. So there's one down there as well, just hooked up to the ceiling. I have got to put another hook in, but I'm not going to do it until the focus is in, because basically I need to know where to stop. So I'm going to have a little play around with the focus when I actually bring it in and where I actually stop. Ideally, I want the car to sort of be about here, so I've got a bit of standing space. I've got a bit of space in the middle, so if I need to work on the car or do anything, then that I have that ability. There is enough space in this garage, and as you can see, apart from what's going on down here and residual stuff, it's actually really, really dry, and I'm just so pleased. There was tons of cobwebs in this garage, and I've just had to do a lot of cleaning and brushing down the walls. You know how it is, it's just permanently dusty in a concrete garage, although I say that's a brick construction. This was a triple garage at one point, because as you can see by these breeze blocks, there was actually a door here. You can actually see the linton at the top, and you've actually got a door that goes through. I've got a feeling this is a triple garage. They bricked it up but left the door in, and then they've got rid of the door and had this as a separate garage. There is a double garage next door with a classic car in it. So I'm amongst friends. I may put some garage defender in though. I think that will be a wise idea, even though what I'm putting in here is not of massive residual value. It's spare oil, spare piece of equipment, or the odd fire extinguisher, just spare stuff that I don't really use that much. But I have actually got this water container, so if I have ever need of water, I've just got a tap where either if I don't know, if I've done some work on the car and I need to wash my hands, if I haven't got any wet wipes or anything like that, I've got some water there. And in terms of the electrical side, so the lights are actually wired in this way. So it goes down here to this extension lead, and the reason I'm using an extension lead is because I want the ability to actually maybe plug a radio in, or just very low powered stuff, just stuff that I'd have on if I was here working. But often, you know, if I'm working here, I'll be filming, so the radio won't be on for copyright reasons. But as you can see here on the wall, I have had this for quite a few years. I used it in my old garage to some really good effect, and as you all guessed, it is a 12 volt power inverter, and this basically converts 12 volts off a battery. I am going to purchase a leisure battery. You have to have a leisure battery because it's a deep cycle battery. Normal car batteries go from about 12 volts. If they go to 11 volts, they're dead. Deep cycle batteries go way further down than 11 volts. They can last for hours. And I did have to do some maths based on the wattage of these bulbs, potentially the wattage of maybe a radio, to work out why the thickness of this wire, which is a 0.7 millimeter core. It's a 2-core cable, because this is plastic. You don't need earths. You don't need an earth cable, so that lessens the cost. And it will run through this at up to 500 watts. Now, bear in mind, this is a cheap one. So as you can probably imagine, this is not pure sine wave. There's two different types. You have modified sine wave and pure sine wave. Naturally, all those who are into camping and going outdoorsy, you will be familiar with pure sine wave. Pure sine wave is basically very linear in terms of the way it is as an electrical current, whereas modified sine wave is a bit like this. And the problem with modified sine wave is that sensitive pieces of equipment will not work as well. I suspect these LED lights may not be as efficient and bright as what they would normally be, but that's okay because they'll be relatively bright for what I need them for. There's 3 of them, so we'll go and see how that is. The other thing is 500 watts is the maximum current. Now, a lot of devices like fridges, anything with compressors like fridges, kettles, that sort of thing, they use way more voltage than their maximum voltage. They can actually, let's say a 2000 watt kettle, when you start it up, it may take about 2400 watts because it's starting up. There'll be a surge of electricity for a millisecond. We're talking a millisecond, and then it will come back down to 2000 watts. My electrician friend who is watching this, you may point out the flaw of what I've just said there, but I'm pretty sure that that's the way it is. But yeah, I've mounted it this way. You are supposed to mount it this way because you don't want to mount it sort of top up, because the fan's at the top. You don't want brick dust going into the fan itself. But ideally, what I need to use it for, that's way more than enough to power some lights, maybe a radio, nothing else. Most of my tools are cordless tools. The idea of portability is really essential for me, that I can just literally run all my Draper tools, Milwaukee or whatever it is, off my cordless power batteries. And that's the way of car mechanics these days. We do not plug things in like we used to. The only thing I've got that's a plug-in is my angle grinder, because I haven't got a proper cordless 18-volt one, because I can't justify it. I very rarely use it. And it's not quite as powerful as a corded one. And they take a lot of power. You need the batteries also to power them. And then I have an SDS drill, which is mains. I'm actually going to, ironically, I need the landlord's help, because he's actually got an SDS drill, a Milwaukee one, that will drill bolt holes for a garage defender to be put in. I think my next door neighbour's got one. I'll just show you. This is kind of what he's put in, which is ideal, because I believe that garage got broken into a few years ago. Apparently nothing was taken. I suspect they wanted an easy steal. They weren't interested in the car, they were just interested in bits and pieces. Well, I'm not leaving anything that's ridiculously expensive. I'm not leaving any tools here. It's just bits and pieces, spare parts. You know, if you know what spare parts are worth, you'd probably take them, but ideally not. As long as they don't take the car, I'm not fussed, and the car will be completely and utterly immobilized. I'm not sure how it's going to work going forwards, but this is how it's going to be. And as I say, I've now got I'm just waiting for a battery to come through for the electric, so we can start hooking things up. We've got that on the wall to start off with, and I'll put a few more bits and pieces on. I need some things on the walls just to make it look really much more homely, and I will definitely start decorating this garage and make it my own, because it's been some years since I've got hold of one, and the fact it's so close means that accessibility is just superb. I have got loads of bits and pieces like planks of wood, just this sort of stuff you use for like jacking up gearboxes, etc. You know, and I'm not being funny, timber is really expensive, and this is my landlord's actually. I found a couple of things in the cellar. I mean, this box here was actually in the basement cellar of my house, and I've given it a clean, and that's useful now. The locks are broken, but I don't need it for that. It's as simple as that. So yeah, big block of timber there, which is quite a beast. So yeah, I mean, as I say, there's just going to be the odd things. These axle stands I don't like, and these car ramps I've had for years. They've done me proud, but I've got better ones and bigger ones, but they will do, and they will fit on the Focus fine. This really is just odds and sods, really. I've had this drawer for ages. Yeah, I will go through all the spare parts I have for the Focus at some point. But anyway, I'm going to leave this here, and I'm just going to keep on organising my way around this place and see what the options are. I may potentially, even though we've got that gap there, and I've put some magnetic tool pieces on here. I mean, this is I've kept this here. I've got one magnetic tray there and a couple of bits there, because ideally I've actually got decent access there. I may put something down the wall. But the truth is, what I'd prefer to do is, with a car, I've always parked the car to the, obviously you always park the car to the left-hand side and get out this way. But some people reverse into the driveway instead of driving in. I don't like that, and that's not going to work for me. I prefer to drive in, and then once I've worked out where exactly where the Focus needs to be parked, so giving me enough space here and enough space at the back, I'm going to run a line with, it's an old technique my granddad used to use in his garage. It was literally a piece of string and like a bath bung or something that will hit the windscreen at the exact moment I need to stop. So as soon as it hits the windscreen, that's it. I know I'm in the right position. So I would give that as a tip, actually. So the next thing will be that. But anyway, guys, you take care, and just a little update on where I am. I'm finally like starting to get everywhere, and the idea is that the focus is going to be in a dry space. It will be in a much better place. I will put some dehumidifier boxes around the place. It's always good to have maybe one or two on the shelves, just catching excess moisture. They're not brilliant stuff. I can't remember that it is almost like cat litter, and that's the advice people give, but cat litter's no cheaper than this sort of stuff. Anyway, take care, guys. I'll see you very soon.